Riot Games has created an entire universe full of lore and mystery, but they haven't given us all the answers. Welcome to the Mysteries of Runeterra, a series where I try to shed some light on the more mystical sides of Riot's written universe. In today's episode, we're talking about some of the less obvious discussions that I've come across. Did you know that Jhin is part of a larger organization that refers to death as art? What about League's lorebook containing hidden kindred marks inside of it? Is Bel'Veth something we will understand one day? And finally, is Bilgewater looking in the wrong place for solutions to their harrowing problem? Thank you for checking out the video. My name is Bad at This Game, and I hope you're having a great day. Jhin is part of a larger group, and included within this group are 4 members. Well, okay, there's probably a lot more than 4, but we've only been shown 4 so far, and considering Jhin's entire thematic is centered around 4, I thought it was apt. Of the 4 members that were introduced, we can start by talking about the Witness. The Witness was introduced in the Worldbreaker set for Legends of Runeterra, and is shown in this artwork. They can be seen here, surrounded by flying creatures, in an Ionian-like structure on an island. Shown here is Jhin to the left, alongside another figure riding in the boat alongside him, with the vessel headed towards the island and the Witness greeting them. The Witness is shown wearing a very particular headpiece, similar to that of Master Yi, which further implies that this is set within Ionia. The flavor text for the Witness reads as follows: "What is this one's role in this strange and gruesome show? Ah, more than audience. She is observer, the lens through which all things pass, and must be held up against truth and beauty. The Witness." The Witness is clearly an organizer or key part of this organization that exists within Ionia, and you can see here that Jhin is clearly being welcomed as the Witness is waiting in anticipation. Next to Jhin on the boat, we can see the stagehand. The stagehand is shown to have a much more particular action within her artwork. Here you can see the stagehand is clearly set in focus, focused on an orb locked around what appears to be a golden lotus. The lights are held in contrast to the etching power that scrolls across the artwork. You can see purple hues in the background that lie across what appear to be one of the trees. Ionians build their structures alongside and integrated into the nearby wildlife and any fauna. This helps reinforce that this is an organization that exists or hosts itself within Ionia. The stagehand is shown to be preparing some form of object. Whether this is to help or assist within the action that Jhin performs is unknown. The flavor text for the stagehand reads as follows: Act 4. A young priestess enters our story. Her tale is one of tragedy, conveyed on the pale lips of those she betrayed. Desperate to repent for her transgression, she carries in her arms a great burden, a gilded gift for the Noxians she welcomed to her land. We are left to wonder, was it sorrow or the bullet that broke her heart? The third member that can be seen is the Maker, and while not featured in the artwork of the Witness, they do feature a similar headpiece that suggests that they are clearly aligned to the same organization. Purely from the aesthetic, you can see that they are a very meticulous and particular person, with numerous threads flying in all directions to carefully weave an object. The object they are weaving is not clearly made out or something I myself can define. However, judging by the intricacy of the object that is displayed by the artifact they are wearing containing many arms to assist in its construction, it can be safe to say that they are working on something that will be useful for the organization and its tasks. The Maker is clearly a worker of intricate design, and is responsible for the creation of such weapons as Jhin's. The flavor text for the Maker reads as follows: An extraordinary creator, the Maker, a legendary artisan, her art peerless, her execution flawless. It is a great honor to be in her presence, let alone wield an instrument of her making. Lastly, we have the artwork for Jhin, who is referenced and named the Virtuoso. Here we can see him stood on a shore with the stagehand and the witness carefully preparing a bullet into his weapon. The flavor text, however, suggests a much more specific story. We open on the city of Kianvi, where an old master summons a young pupil. He is tasked with disposing a group of nefarious villains and recovering stolen sacred artifacts. The actor is keen, but he does not as yet take his place, for now he simply prepares, waiting in the wings. I find the additional cards that were added through Legends of Runeterra to be quite interesting, as they provide an insight into the potential organization and maniacal nature that Jhin presides himself with as his alignment and obsession with death. Presenting it as an art form seems to be something that is shared amongst this organization, if not enacted as its sole purpose. I'm already working on a video surrounding Jhin, so you can expect to hear about his acting troupe later down the line. The next mystery is to do with the book that was released by Riot Games. Riot Games released a book called Realms of Runeterra that acts as a guide to the lore of Runeterra, but after reading it several times, I can't stop thinking about this really one odd thing that I noticed across the pages. There are marks of the Kindred, and the marks are not the simple spiral marks that are typically used. They are made with words. The potential explanations are endless. Let me just show you what I'm trying to talk about here. The marks exist across the pages and are cryptic in their nature, if not vague in their message. They clearly link to the Kindred, but I'm unable to point any suggestions as to who could have written these as an example. Here are 3 of the marks. I have seen with my own 2 eyes, the blossoms fall and spirits rise. I who walk the realms have heard of death's strange and opposing words. Watch for the hunter, half pale, half dark, and for the one who bears its mark. These marks are peculiar in their nature, and appear to be throughout multiple pages, with no clear meaning or direction other than referencing the Kindred and their actions. One note that is interesting is that these marks also exist within the page that exists for Bandle City. Bandle City may only be accessed through Yordle portals and is home to the Yordles, so whoever wrote this must have access to or be able to see the portals, which are normally only accessible by Yordles. This could suggest that these notes were written by someone who inhabits Bandle City, but the fact that they were written in a spiral nature means that it is very hard to pinpoint anything or any region, as the Kindred have no predetermined location as they roam throughout the spirit realm and throughout Runeterra. If anyone has any idea on what these marks could mean, or who could have written them, please feel free to let me know in the comments down below, because this is a mystery that I've had for quite some time now. I feel like we have a lot to learn about the Void from Bel'Veth, the existence of the Lavender Sea, the infighting between representatives of the Void, and the unnatural plan that Bel'Veth has to team up with Kai'Sa all point towards a larger story. We've only recently received Bel'Veth, and so it's probably going to be a while before we see any real expansion on this storyline, but Bel'Veth offers an insight into both the Void and Shurima. Bel'Veth contains all the memories, experiences, and knowledges of an entire city. There is so much potential information that could be gained from interactions with this champion, and there's so many questions that could be answered by this champion. Bel'Veth was created by the coastal city of Bel'Veth, and as such, she is the only link we currently have that is able to represent the Void, Shurima, and speak in English as a person throughout Runeterra. This means that Bel'Veth, while interacting with champions outside of the game, could potentially reveal different parts of their origins, history, or future. This insight is something that could only be provided by Bel'Veth, and her introduction into Runeterra allows the Void, a previously unspoken and unrepresented force, to be represented by the voice of Bel'Veth. Bel'Veth now represents and provides a direct speech for the Void as a manifestation of the Void itself. Whereas the Watchers merely resided within the void and tried to understand or perceive its intentions, Bel'Veth represents its true desires. The very nature of her existence implies and suggests more than the simple idea that the Watchers are here to destroy the world. Her obsession with the Lavender Sea and idea of recreating the world instead of destroying it differs to that of the Watchers. Overall, it would be nice to see or understand some of the inhabitants of Bel'Veth, and being able to perceive the knowledge or experiences that Bel'Veth has gained through interactions of the champion would be something I would like to see in the future. I do understand, however, that Bel'Veth was released fairly recently, and so it will be quite a while before we see any development on the Void storyline. Riot seems to be obsessed with water. Neelar has Ashlash bound in water. Tahm Kench is a demon travelling through the rivers. Bel'Veth randomly shouts water while travelling. Bilgewater, which literally has water in the name there, suffers from an event known as the Harrowing. The Harrowing occurs where the mist of the Shadow Isles creeps over the sea and spreads to Bilgewater. This causes many problems because the people of Bilgewater are effectively terrorized by the apparitions of the mist. This event happens annually, but it's not really explained how or why it happens, and the reasonings may not be to do with the Shadow Isles themselves. The Shadow Isles are constantly looked at as the cause, but the root of the problem to this happening may be related to something else. The Shadow Isles don't get particularly powerful during the Harrowing. It's not like the Isles receive anything that allows them to cross over the seas, so potentially the sea itself is what is stopping the Shadow Isle from expanding, and whatever holds them at bay occasionally doesn't. The power beneath the surface of the water is owned by the spirit god Nagakeboros, but there are other things in the oceans of Runeterra, so when do we get to see the threat beneath? Well, technically we've already seen it, and it's kind of terrifying. Nami's quest as a tidecaller gave us a glimpse into what lies under the waves, and oddly enough it has something to do with the void. Fun fact! Nami's staff that she uses is actually from another Mirai known as Rasho. Another fun fact: Rasho is terrifying and became cursed by the Void. See, during the Void War, it was said that the ascended warriors of Shurima fought against the abominations of the Void, both over land and sea. This gets problematic when you realize how deep the ocean truly goes and realize that potentially maybe it's not possible for the Shuriman warriors to go to the very depths of the ocean and destroy the Void Rifts. Within the comic Into the Abyss, you can see that there is clearly some void-like light, which is suggesting that there is something happening. What the void has to do with being under the waters that could potentially be related to Nagakeboros and Bilgewater, I will have to try and figure out, but I thought it was worth mentioning, and if I do end up figuring out any of this mystery, I will be happy to post a video about it. So, those are my 4 mysteries for today. Thank you for watching, and if you have any suggestions or ideas as to what could solve any of these mysteries, or anything you think might be worth having a look at so I can start solving them, please feel free to leave a comment below. So there we have it. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the thumbs up button and consider subscribing if you're interested in the content. I stream occasionally on Twitch, and you can find my links down below. Take care.